Yesterday, as you know, if you were watching our coverage, was May Day. Not only were there marches around the world celebrating the International Workers' Day, but the Occupy movement also called for a national general strike, a day of action. And conveniently, on the same day, we saw the mainstream media going crazy over the arrest of 5 suspects planning a terror plot.
A terror plot here at home. The feds say this group here of so-called anarchists are in custody, accused of wanting to blow up a bridge in Ohio.
5 men arrested by the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. Agents say they plotted to blow up one of the city's bridges.
Federal agents have busted up an anarchist plot in Cleveland. 5 people are under arrest, accused of trying to blow up a bridge.
5 men accused of plotting to blow up a bridge.
The suspects are facing conspiracy charges and attempted use of explosive materials. We are told the plan included C4 explosives and IEDs, improvised explosive devices.
The agency describes the group as a self-proclaimed bunch of anarchists determined to use violence to express their ideological views.
The suspects were closely monitored, and their would-be explosives were duds, controlled by an undercover FBI employee.
The FBI's had these 5 under surveillance since last fall when they first came to the attention of a confidential FBI source. They've been tracked ever since. They never did have any actual explosives.
Now, what's interesting in the way the mainstream media covered this story is the way that they approach it, right? Notice specifically the wording. They say that the explosives were duds and that they were controlled by the FBI. Now, that kind of roundabout rhetoric doesn't tell you that the fake explosives were given to these 5 suspects by the FBI. That not only were these men being tracked, but that an undercover FBI agents were working with them to help shape the plot, to offer advice on how to use these explosives. So once again, it raises the question that we've asked so many times on this show as to whether the feds are really helping to thwart plots or only create more of them. And then, of course, get the credit for supposedly keeping us safe. Now, there have been numerous cases throughout the years that have very much looked like entrapment, from the Newburgh Ford, the Christmas tree bomber, to the man that thought that he was going to blow up the Capitol. Now, those are just a few. And now you can add today's case to the list. While most of the cases have been attributed by the feds to Islamic extremism, it does not stop there. We've seen it happen with environmental activists and now these anarchists, which today the media conveniently was able to tie to the Occupy movement in Cleveland. Now we're going to get into what effect violent actions, vandalism, anarchist elements actually have on the Occupy movement in a debate later on in the show. But this is different. This is a plan for a crime that was provoked by law enforcement itself. And of course, that's not how the U.S. attorney described it, responding to allegations that this was politically motivated. He said, the quote, "The defendants stand charged based not upon any words or beliefs they might espouse, but based upon their own actions and plans." I don't know. Are they their actions and plans, or are they the FBI's? Now, the FBI actually admitted that the defendants had said repeatedly that they had no intentions of harming anyone. They stated that they didn't want people to think that they were terrorists. Now, personally, that doesn't convince me then that they weren't demonized for their anarchist views, which are considered radical by the government. But the point here is that we need to ask these questions, right? Which is why we have continuously done so here on this show. Now, finally, some other media elements are catching on. The New York Times devoted some time to entrapment this past weekend. But the cable networks, not a chance. They're happy to repeat the lines of law enforcement verbatim, hype up the threat, and ignore the fact that the feds need to prove their own importance, justify their funding. But therefore, we need to be skeptical when one plot after another has been conceived, funded, and armed by them. But no, that's something that the mainstream media chooses to miss.